Each year, 911 operators across the United States answer more than 240 million calls. Most involve real emergencies, accidents, assaults, fires, cries for help that come from situations grounded in reality. But every so often, buried in the stream of distress and disorder, comes a call that doesn't quite fit. A call where the facts don't add up, the voices don't sound right, and the resolution never truly comes. One such call was placed in 2017 from a quiet neighborhood in Pocatello, Idaho. And what was heard that night has never been forgotten. It began just after 11 p.m. on a bitter January evening. The 911 dispatcher, a woman named Carla with over 10 years of experience, was working the night shift, usually the calmest hours, until they weren't. Her headset crackled with static before a faint voice pierced through. The voice belonged to a woman, her words frantic but not panicked, her tone strained, as if struggling to stay calm. "They're inside," she whispered, "but the doors are locked. I locked all of them. They didn't come in. They just appeared." At first, Carla assumed it was a break-in, maybe a drug-induced delusion, maybe mental illness. But as the caller spoke, it became harder to explain away. She described figures tall and dark, moving soundlessly through the home. She said they weren't just in the rooms, they were in the walls. Faces peered from mirrors, whispering in languages she didn't understand. Sometimes they floated. Sometimes they vanished into nothing. "They look like people, but they're wrong," she kept repeating. "Their mouths don't move, but I hear them. I hear them in my head." The woman wasn't alone. Her 7-year-old son was with her, hiding beneath the kitchen table. But he wasn't afraid. He was talking to them. To one of them. "Mr. Gray," he called it. When Carla asked the woman to describe Mr. Gray, she paused, then said something that made Carla's skin crawl. "My son says Mr. Gray lives in the chimney. He says sometimes Mr. Gray borrows people when he's lonely." Police were dispatched immediately, but something in the woman's voice made Carla stay on the line. Even after protocol said she could disconnect, the woman kept describing the movements in her house. How the figures ignored physical space, passing through furniture, hovering near her ceiling, whispering her name from every corner of the room. She said they hated the mirrors. She had turned them all to the walls, every last one. The bedroom, the hallway, even the rearview mirror on her car parked in the driveway. By the time officers arrived, the home was quiet, still. The door was locked from the inside. Nothing appeared broken, but when they stepped in, they found the woman and her son huddled in a corner, eyes wide and alert. The room was freezing. Not just cold and naturally cold. Their breath came out in visible clouds, even though the heater was running. The boy said nothing to the officers. Only once did he speak, and it was to the hallway behind them. "You can't take mommy," he muttered. "She's not ready." As officers searched the house, nothing out of place was found. No signs of a break-in. No footprints. No forced entry. But every mirror, every single reflective surface had indeed been turned to face the wall. Even the TV screen had been unplugged and tilted downward. The mother refused to explain why. She simply said, "They come through reflections. They hate being seen." One officer joked nervously that maybe she watched too many horror movies, but his partner remained quiet. The silence in the house was off. It wasn't just quiet, it was oppressive, like the air itself didn't want it to move. As they left, the younger officer glanced back. For just a second, he swore he saw something in the corner of the mirror above the fireplace, something tall, still, and facing away. The next morning, the mother and son were gone. They'd left in the early hours, abandoning the house entirely. When contacted, the woman said she couldn't stay there another night. Not after what happened when the call ended. This is where the story takes an even stranger turn. Carla, the dispatcher, was reviewing the logs when she noticed something peculiar. The call had lasted 3 minutes and 46 seconds on her system, but the backup recording stored on an independent system logged it as being over 12 minutes. Nearly 9 minutes of unexplained, undocumented audio. When tech support attempted to retrieve the full call recording, all they found was static except at the very end. A whisper, quiet but distinct, looped 3 times before cutting to silence. "Leave the chimney shut." The department's internal report classified the case as unresolved. a rare designation used only when all logical explanations fail. The home was later rented to another family, but they broke the lease within 6 weeks, citing odd sounds, missing items, and cold spots in the home. One tenant claimed to see a face in the mirror that wasn't hers. To this day, the original call is used as a training example, not for protocol, but for awareness. Not every call to 911 is rooted in the physical world. Sometimes, people call because something else answers first. So what really happened in that Idaho home? Was it mental illness? A vivid hallucination shared between a mother and child? Or was it something that defies reason, a rupture between our world and something else entirely? The voices, the mirrors, the missing minutes, the whisper about the chimney. 911 operators are trained to expect pain, confusion, fear, but nothing prepares them for the unexplained. That call was more than a cry for help. It was a glimpse into something we're not supposed to see. And perhaps that's why the mirrors were turned around, not to hide from what was inside, but to keep us from looking back.